everyone, and welcome back to Talking Bayern, the one-stop shop for Bayern Munich content on YouTube. Today we'll be looking at my Bundesliga predictions for the 2022-2023 season. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Going in to 18th, who I think is going to be the surefire relegation team. I think Augsburg are going to get relegated this year. I know I've been saying this a lot in recent years. I know I've only had the channel for a year, but I predicted Augsburg to get relegated last season as well. So maybe I just have something up for the team. But I just think they don't deserve to be in the Bundesliga. I think there are a lot of better teams, and I was honestly really surprised to see them not relegated last season. Obviously, they had a stronger second half of the season last year. But I don't know. I just don't think Augsburg are a very good team. I don't think they've really made the signings to improve on themselves. Like Ricardo Pepi last season, I think was going to be a great signing. Or not a great signing, but I thought it had potential, and he hasn't really shown that yet. Obviously, it's a bit early, but I don't know. I just don't think Augsburg are a great team. The next one is going to be Bochum. This might be surprising because they had a great first year in the Bundesliga, but I think they might have a bit of a bounce back to reality in the second season for them in the Bundesliga. I think they have a lot of exciting players I liked watching last year, but I just think that the competition coming up is stronger than like last year. Like Greuther Fürth, I don't think was a good team that came up. So I just think there is going to be like a next step. I think Bochum very well could be 15th or relegation side or even like 14th. I think this is my like most flexible team that I think could go in like a different bunch of spots, but I do see some other better teams in here than Bochum. But hopefully they do stay. I do kind of root for them to not get relegated this year. But a team I have in the relegation game is going to be Hertha Berlin. Obviously they've had some great players in recent years, but they've really struggled to get over the top, and they've honestly just struggled to stay in the Bundesliga now for some years now. I mean, last season they were in the relegation game. They somehow got past that game against Hamburg. So, I mean, I think they're lucky to stay in the Bundesliga last season. Also, just a quick note that these teams here, this was just in the tier list, so I had to throw them somewhere. These aren't, like, ordered in any certain way, so you can just ignore these. But, yeah, I think Hertha Berlin is going to be, another very mediocre side, probably one of the worst teams in the Bundesliga this season, which is sad because I do think, their squad is better. Like, I think they invest a lot of money in the team compared to some of the other lower-end teams, and I think they should be better. But they just need to solve something out because I think this team can get back up to a mid-level team if they figure some stuff out. And then 15th we have Schalke, one of the newly promoted sides. I think they do have some potential there. Obviously, they're a massive club, one of the top teams in the Bundesliga, one of the top teams in the world historically. So I do think Schalke can get back up there, but they're going to need a strong first season. I'm going to put them in 15th because I think it'd be awesome to see them, staying in the Bundesliga and playing against Dortmund again. That was just so fun to watch. Next, I have Stuttgart. I don't think this is quite the team we saw from them 2 years ago. Obviously, they struggled last season, but obviously they're just made it away from the relegation game last year on the last match day from a goal from Kolasinac and a late goal. So I think they might struggle again. I don't think this is quite a special team that they had 2 years ago, and I do think they are going to struggle this year. But I think 14th is a safe spot, but I think they might just scathe the relegation this season. Next, we have Werder Bremen. I'm going to put them in 13th. I do think they are a good team. I think they're going to be promoted. They're one of the newly promoted teams, and I do think they're going to escape relegation. I think there's a lot of potential here. Obviously, they've only been relegated once in their entire history, so I don't think they're going to be too keen on getting relegated again. So I think they're going to go all out this season, making sure that they stay up. So I do think Werder Bremen 13th is a fair shout. Next, we have Mainz, and that might surprise some people because I think Mainz was very good in 2021, the calendar year. They had a great end of the season in 2021, and then they had a great start of the season in 2021-2022. Actually said that it could be one of the teams in the 7 and 9 or even almost Europe last season. But obviously, they really did drop off, and they lost some talent as well. So I don't think I can put them any higher than 12th, to be honest, which is sad because I do kind of cheer for them. Well, not like obviously cheer for them. I do think that they are a team that I rate more than others, but I do think that they are going to drop off this year. And then in 11th, I have Köln. This is one of those teams last year I think, did better, not because of just their own. I'm going to put Hoffenheim in there as well, as those two teams they did pretty good last season, and Hoffenheim also made European competition, but I do think it was at fault from some better teams in the league just having an off season. I don't think they're actually as good as a lot of people rate them, but I do think they are a mid-table team, but not really any better than that, if I'm being completely honest. Next, I'm at Frankfurt in 9th. And I know they came in the bottom half of the table last year. I'm going to put them in top half this year. But I do think, they are going to be making some right strides toward progress. But I think they're still recovering from the loss of Andre Silva, who was so good for them in that 2020-2021 season. and I think they got to find goals. Obviously, they have some good young players that I think could start to fill in those gaps. But I do think it's a bit of a rebuild for Frankfurt, despite them, winning the Europa League last season. So I think, even they came fifth the year before as well. So I think they are a good team, but I don't want to put them any higher than ninth, despite winning the Europa League, because I do think it's going to be hard to fight in the Bundesliga and the Champions League this season. Next, we have Wolfsburg, who really, really struggled last season. I thought a lot of people had higher hopes for them. Obviously, they qualified in the Champions League and then got smacked in the Champions League. They obviously finished in the bottom half as well of the league. So, really disappointing year from Wolfsburg. They didn't take the strides people thought they were going to do. I didn't think they were going to make the Champions League quite again. Or actually, I did say they were going to come like fourth or something like that. But pretty early on in the season, you could tell that was not going to be the case. And their defense which wasn't what it was the year before. And obviously, losing Weghorst was very, very detrimental to the team, and they couldn't really find the scoring. Obviously, I think Nemecha is a good goal scorer, but he was not quite on the level of Weghorst, or that he was at least when he was scoring all those goals. So I think Wolfsburg in 8th is a fair shout. And then 7th, I'm going to have Union Berlin. This might be a bit of a generous one. I know they've always been really good in recent years, but I think they might start to drop off a bit with just the lack of funding. They don't quite have the power of these other teams, so I think they are going to struggle a bit. I mean, I have them 7th still, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was one team in this I could see dropping a few spots. It would be Union Berlin. I could see them dropping off a bit. And then 6th, Mönchengladbach. I think this is going to be one that might be surprising to some, might not be surprising to others. Because I do think they still have a really, really solid team. Obviously, they lost some talent, but obviously they still have Jonas Hoffman. They still have some great players on their team. So I really do think that Gladbach could make a Europe push this year. And I do think, obviously, they're going to be well rested. They didn't play in European competition last season after playing in the Champions League 2 years ago. So I do think this is a team that really just needed a bit of recovery. Maybe it was just an off year for them, but I really do think they have the talent to make a push. I could even see them maybe coming like 4th or 5th if they have a really, really great year. So hopefully it doesn't surprise too many people, but I do think they're a solid team. And Freiburg is another team I'm going to put 5th. This might be a bit of a generous one, despite where they finished last year, just because of, to be honest, I think losing Schlarbach is going to be a big, big blow for them. But I do think their defense is still very solid. Obviously, the best defense in the Bundesliga last year. I mean, if you count ours ahead of them, I'm not sure. But I think Freiburg is a very, very good team. I think, obviously, they have just a great atmosphere at the stadium. But I do think that losing Starbecks can be a bit of a blow. If they can recover from that, I don't think there's any reason why they couldn't come in the top 6. If not, maybe they'll drop off a little bit. Coming in 4th, I have Leverkusen. This was a tough one because I wanted to put them higher. Obviously, they have like Wirtz, Diaby, Schick. They have a lot of great players, Frimpong on their team. But I do think it's going to be tough to fight with the other top 3 teams just because of how good they are. But I think Leverkusen is a team that could come, 3rd or even 2nd if they had a really, really good year. I think the top 4 is honestly kind of a toss-up. In my opinion, I think Leverkusen is a strong team. I think they could surprise some people this season. I think they kind of snuck under the radar last season. But if Wirtz and Schick do as well this season as they did last season, I think there's no reason why these guys will not certainly be in the Champions League again next season. So I think watch out for Leverkusen. Next, I'm going to put in Leipzig, and I think Leipzig are a strong team, but I don't think they're quite as good as Dortmund or Bayern. And I think obviously they're still recovering from the losses of some major players in defense as well as Sabitzer. Obviously losing their manager, they haven't really found stability quite yet. They had a great 2022 calendar year so far. Obviously they won the Pokal and they had a great run. I think they got the most points of anyone in the Bundesliga in 2022. But I do think there's a lot of work still to be done to be on the level as Dortmund and Bayern, despite how good they were at the end of last season. Next, I'm going to have Dortmund in 2nd. I think they've made some great improvements while they've also lost Holland. Obviously, they got Adeyemi, Haller, who's going to be out for quite some time, apart from some other names. Sula, obviously. But I just think that we all talk about how many great improvements Dortmund's made, but obviously they lost talent still. Like this is the elephant in the room. They lost talent. It's going to be incredibly hard to replace him. Having a special player like that with so much offensive threat, and I really do think they're going to struggle after losing him. So I could see Dortmund honestly dropping off a couple spots in this, but I think I have to put them 2nd. But honestly, I feel like a lot of people are putting Dortmund as their first team to win the Bundesliga, but I feel like a lot of people just want to do a hot take. But I think going with my heart and my mind, it has to be Bayern in 1st. They're the clear best team in this league. Obviously, we made some great improvements against Sadio Mane, Gravenberch, Mazraoui, De Ligt. Obviously, some great players coming in. Hopefully Sabitzer has a better season, Upamecano, and like if these players have a great season, this could be a really special year for us. I honestly do think that Bayern could win the Champions League. I think we got to be one of the favorites at this point if we start off the season right. So I think there's gonna be a lot of pressure on the team to succeed, and I think this honestly could be a special year for Bayern. I think this could go down in the history books. I do think losing Lewandowski is a blow, but honestly, I think Sadio Mane can take that spot, and maybe we'll be surprised of just how good he can be for us. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and a comment, and let me know who you think your top 4 is going to be and which teams you think are going to be relegated. I'd love to see what everybody thinks, so let me know in the comments below. And if you want to see more Bayern Munich content like this in the future, please subscribe to this channel. Hope to see you on the next one. Until then, Mia Samia.